So iNabber.
Hello there, my wonderful, gorgeous...
Whoa! Okay, so I never heard about this person before. And then that's not a criticism on them. They have a lot of, followers and stuff like that. So that's not like a criticism on them. That's just me being a boomer. I'm actually only 31. But that's just me. Like, I really didn't get into YouTube until I got into Twitch, and I didn't get into Twitch until I got into TikTok, and I didn't get into TikTok until like last year in March. So a lot of dog stuff. So okay. What's funny though is I saw them. So I only get notifications on YouTube from people who are like big content creators that comment on stuff. Let me see if I can see it. And I believe that this individual, he had commented on my video about getting married. And I saw that they were like, congratulations. And I saw that notification, and then I was like, who is this person? And then I looked them up. I was like, oh, man, they're a pretty big content creator. So he did comment. Yeah, so I was like, oh, shit. A little starstruck. I was like, that's cool. This guy's got almost 900,000 subscribers. And it looks like he actually gets traction on his videos.
Hello there, my...
Like me. No, I'm just fucking with you guys. Well, I mean, it's kind of true, but I don't really care. Anyway. So I was like, crazy. So not only am I in this video, he goes through and he puts the tags on them. I don't think I'm in here at a point. Jorobe's hidden past, Jorobe slandering other creators. I made it into the video. Not only that, but what you guys need to also keep in mind is, like, I was very much a part of the deplatforming of Jorobe. So I was very in on it. The person, Dylan, was one of the people, but a lot of the young people that came forward that were impacted by Jorobe, they came forward to myself and other TikTokers. I obviously did my video on YouTube. I have like a whole thing on YouTube. I have a few videos on YouTube showing context of everything going on. They're all right here. Serious allegations, the Jorobe situation got worse, the end of Jorobe, the minor Jorobe updates, a little bit of a, all providing new context to what's going on with Jorobe. As you can see, we changed the thumbnails, the type images, but anyway. And then I have my other stuff, like addressing like Jorobe privately slandering me, etc., etc., blah, 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 blah. We get the point. So I know a lot about this scenario, so I want to like watch it and let's see how hopefully accurate that this is.
Jorobe. Now, this is saying a lot, but I genuinely believe that this may be possibly one of the worst content creators I have ever experienced on this platform. And this isn't even me referring to his incredibly disturbingly immoral actions.
Yeah, same thing with Gemini. Yeah, I was very involved in that as well. Yeah.
It's actually just me referring to his content, because I don't usually say this, but it was just annoyingly bad.
I have made so many videos educating my followers about why consent is so important.
Wow, thanks so much, King. It's a shame you didn't do this when your friend was accused of not understanding why consent is important. King, you're so brave, but
Hey, look, I actually make it a lot in here.
I'm a little bit confused here.
And for you to make a mockery of consent by comparing how we as...
Bro, the Calvin Brandy thing was really bad, because Calvin Brandy... There was I believe there was like a friend group. It was Jorobe, Calvin Brandy, and then the girl that Calvin Brandy assaulted. And Calvin assaulted the girl. Then he said, goodbye, guys. When you look back at that video, this is him showing off, saying goodbye, and telling him and asking you to buy his friend's shoes. That's what this is. That's what this is. This is him saying, buy my friend's shoes. Not Jorobe. I don't think Jorobe's shoes, but Calvin's friend's shoes. Crazy, right? Isn't that insane? And he didn't pull down any videos with Calvin. There was even a time where Jorobe asked Calvin to make an OF so that he can go into, etc., etc. You get what I'm trying to say. And I didn't say he didn't pull the video down. It was insane.
A little bit confused here.
And for you to make a mockery of consent by comparing how we as humans interact with each other in a safe and productive way to...
And also, this is, he said to animals.
Breeding animals?
So this is where the vegan teacher was talking about how animals don't get consent for us to impregnate them for milk. Now, I've talked about this. You guys know we talk about consent on here often. We don't just say consent is good. We talk about like the nuances of consent, about usually young men making sure that young women are put into positions where they feel like they can say no. We talk about it all the time. That's what we do here. We actually talk about that. And even when you look at the animal conversation, like there is an argument there that we do impregnate animals without their consent. Like it is a thing. It does exist. So you can get upset and uncomfortable by the argument, but it's still a decent argument. I don't think humans and animals are the same, but this is what I would consider a virtue signal. Like, yes, we know that like sexual assault is bad, and we know that animals and humans aren't the same, but we can also have an intelligent understanding and conversation about lack of consent when it comes to animals getting impregnated. Like, you can still use that point, and that's why I call it a virtue signal. Like, it's not a particularly like intelligent, engaging point from Jorobe here. I gotta tell Mom I got a Snapchat.
It's shameful.
Now, what he's saying isn't a representation of why I think this guy's content is terrible. The reason I think his content is terrible
We're at
is because it's
936.
incredibly hypocritical and incredibly ironic.
True.
But go off, King.
And posting videos like that just makes it so much harder for us to talk about
The
consent
King thing
and have
is so
people take it
funny.
seriously.
Well, that's kind of ironic. It's
I'm making a lot of appearances in this video here.
very ironic, in fact, and you may be wondering why I said was one of the worst content creators I've experienced, and yes.
Wait, does that mean that he saw him on TikTok and he was like, I hate this guy? I wouldn't doubt it. This guy seems like a nice guy. Usually a lot of people on YouTube are a little more like left-leaning, which is not, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I'm actually even left-leaning. My point is a lot of people I think were afraid to criticize Jorobe because he had a lot of the cancel culture rights on like the left, more progressive side on his side. So like if you said, "Hey Jorobe, I think you're being fucking annoying," you would be destroyed.
This is where it begins. And now I understand a lot of you are probably around 47 years old and not exactly down with the kids. And unfortunately, the person we're talking about today is somebody that tried to be down with the kids to a point of where it's very illegal. Very illegal. Jorobe is...
Well, that was one of the things, is actually one of the things that was illegal wasn't necessarily illegal. This is one of the things that actually really bothered me about Jorobe, is how meticulous he was. He was very calculated. So one of the things he would do is he would talk to like 17-year-old boys, and he would try to set up meetings with them right when they turned 18 on their 18th birthday, which would be considered grooming. He would also try to disconnect them from their friend group, which is another aspect of grooming people don't talk about. People like to use the word that they don't understand. But they would drive wedges in relationships so that there would be a level of dependency of that person onto Jorobe. That's the problem. And so like that technically I think would be considered legal. I don't know if I'm 100% correct on that, but that's why it's so disgusting, because he knows what he's doing. Very calculated, and it's very disgusting. Now, of course, there's also pretty credible allegations that he sent, his dick to a 15-year-old, but let's just keep moving on.
TikTok star, and I understand a lot of you probably don't use TikTok, but yes, Jorobe was a 28-year-old TikTok star with around 4.5 million followers until he deleted his TikTok account. And yeah, it's never a good sign when somebody deletes their entire platform. Now, Jorobe,
he also had one that was like 1.3 million that was verified.
Their entire TikTok platform on them basically just calling out everybody for saying any possible thing. And you may be thinking,
they made fun of, he called someone out for making it was like a troll account or something. It was like that made a Jeanette McCurdy look fatter. But he called it out and he had a meltdown over it.
Well, don't you do that? And to an extent, yes, but to the extent which Jorobe was doing it, in my opinion, it's quite embarrassing. His TikToks were very much the case of somebody would say the slightest of wrong things. They wouldn't exactly commit an illegal action. They wouldn't commit a horrific thing. They wouldn't say something terrible. They may just say something slightly out of pocket.
Or like a joke that was poor, that was like a little bit rough, and then he would have a meltdown. I forget, there was a joke from like a girl made a silly joke. I don't remember it, but I just remember these things. Like, I forgot to bring this up. Jorobe and I blew up at the same time. Like, I used to be a 2.5 million follower verified account on TikTok. That's a story for another day. I was banned partially because TikTok lowered the amount of requirements required for mass reporting. Part of it's because I had like an error in poor taste on my account. So I think I deserve the ban. but we grew up in like the same time.
Do better.
It is a nice flex though to get banned instead of having to delete my account because I'm a predator. So I'll take that win.
And that was basically the premise of his content. There wasn't any critical analysis.
Yes, that's a good point. There was something that really bothered me. So there was a time where Jorobe canceled a young gay kid because he said that we need to start focusing a lot on the atrocities happening in the Middle East against LGBTQ people, and Jorobe manipulated that message into saying that he was against Muslims in the United States. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And it's I think that it's actually a very ignorant perspective, and it's a very first world centric perspective to be like, well, because Muslim people would be considered a marginalized group in America, but in other countries that are Muslim based, like, yes, they are oppressive towards LGBTQ people, or at least the laws are. And so for somebody to try to make a nuanced take about that, and they may have said it in like poor framing, but Jorobe was like, oh, you're a bad person, I get to like virtue signal. But it's like, you know, Jesus Christ, you know, gay people are getting stoned in other countries, and a young gay man was trying to make a point about that, and he got deplatformed by Jorobe.
It was basically Jorobe just grandstanding on every single possible thing, stating that he is basically the all-knowing, wonderful human being
moral
that definitely
arbiter.
hasn't done anything wrong in their life. Anything at all. That was Jorobe's content. And also, I do just have to say, don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with criticizing small things on the internet. I've done it myself plenty of times. I just feel that Jorobe's style basically offered absolutely nothing. No balanced arguments, it wasn't funny, it was just him saying, do better for 60 seconds straight on TikTok. I don't understand how that benefits anybody, and also, there are plenty of other content creators out there in the same genre as Jorobe that did it a million times better. I just personally was never a fan, but also I think it may be the fact that he is a massive hypocrite. He's very much somebody that wanted to make everybody believe that he has a completely clean slate and absolutely no problematic history whatsoever, and that's why he calls out anybody who is slightly problematic, and that's when we get into the irony. And a quick warning before we go any further, I will be discussing extremely sensitive topics in this video. Themes of sexual assault and predatory actions will be spoken about, and I do have to say, for legal reasons, that the things I'm going to be speaking about today are allegations, but at the same time, I do believe that there is no smoke without fire, and I am very much supporting the victims in this situation.
I get that.
But for legalities, and knowing this is a terrible human being, I just have to say that. Now, at this point, you've probably guessed what I'm going to be discussing. With the irony, it is the fact that Jorobe, as I said, is somebody that has regularly criticized people. He is somebody that prides himself on speaking about sexual assault, and to be honest with you, I have no problem with that. I think these are things that need to be spoken about more, and that is the ironic thing, because in the last few months, Jorobe is somebody that has faced numerous serious damning allegations against him, which has led to him deleting his entire platform without saying anything, without responding, without any retaliation. And to me, that speaks guilt. That speaks like a guilty person when they say nothing and just go and run away from all of the accusations. And to be honest with you, getting into it, I find it rather strange that even before any of these allegations, Jorobe was somebody that, as I said, prided himself speaking about these horrific actions, but at the same time, he seemingly avoided speaking about his friend who was also subject to sexual abuse allegations.
And that's one of those very interesting things, is that there are a lot of people, you know, who they'll preach a generalized message that we need to educate people on like feminist issues or sexual assault and things like that, but they won't hold to it in real life. Right? People who will say that like, hey, I'm like super ingrained on like feminist issues, and then they'll sexually harass two women on like in Discord DMs. And then when you press them on it, they'll say, well, I was just pushing, you know, I was just pushing natural boundaries, things like that. And like, well, you know, one of them wasn't actually wasn't mentally capable of actually having that conversation with me, which for some reason they thought that was an intelligent point, or say that society has created them, or as society taught men to be shitty, so it's okay that I'm shitty because I'm educating myself, even though if you're ingrained on feminist issues, you should understand these things very plainly, right? You have a lot of people who advocate for these things already that like to play stupid when they get caught. A lot of them also seem to use their position as somebody who would like defend women or and I don't mean to just hyper focus on women, because men can definitely be the victims of assault as well. And obviously in this situation, somebody was definitely violated, or well, groomed, violated. Yeah, I guess violated would be the right word. But I'm just making a point that there does seem to be a lot of people who like to ride these types of things, like women's issues or victims' issues, and then they really just use that to predatorize people.
Because a good friend of Jorobe, a guy called Calvin, made the exact same style as Jorobe, like this.
I always really like the music exchanges for the real music. So, like, yeah, this is the kind of person that would use their position as them. Well, they say I'm defending women just to get closer to women. So it's really just to lower the guard of women so that they can hurt them.
And strangely enough, after making a TikTok like that, seeing like somebody that really wants to take a stand against these horrific actions committed by terrible people, he was then
I like how much I'm in this thing here. I like how much I'm in this video. I'm just saying.
Sexual assault, and then basically just blamed it on the fact that he has an inflated ego because of his followers.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
Mention the shoes.
Not gonna come back to TikTok. It wasn't putting me.
Mention the shoes.
I felt that with TikTok, my ego was super inflated, and I felt like I was invincible. I was unstoppable. I couldn't make any mistakes, and it resulted in me.
I'm so sorry to the person who made this, because I pause a lot, so I'm guaranteeing that he like cut the video up constantly. I know that sound is my mic, because like my mic arm is so loud, and I know I need to get a new one, but you can't edit that out because I'm just like fucking around in the middle of it.
Making the biggest mistake that
I'm sorry. I gotta get a new equipment.
I'm gonna be off TikTok. I'm not gonna do it anymore. I promised my teammate Mac Jornell, the coolest human being ever. These shoes, highly recommend.
Yes, he basically admitted to it by saying it was one of the biggest mistakes of his life because his little ego got a bit shut up, man. Jeez, you should be in a prison
and
cell.
And then he plugged his
shoes. I truly do not understand how these social media influencers continue to get away with these things despite basically admitting to these crimes.
With TikTok, my ego was super inflated, and I felt like I was invincible. I was unstoppable. I couldn't make any mistakes.
And shoes.
Resulted in me making the biggest mistake that I think I'll ever make.
I'm sorry,
but
TikTok doesn't make you sexually assault people. TikTok is an app where you upload 15-second funny videos. It's not on a tier one to do that. You are a sick individual who's trying to blame, I don't know, the social media stratosphere on your terrible actions. I'm sorry, mate, but that's not how it's going to work. And the fact
I mean, like, listen, that see, this is one of those things. Generally, like, yeah, I've done shitty things because I got famous and, like, I thought my shit didn't stink. So, like, I would make bad take videos. Like, that's what I would do. I would make videos with, like, in poor taste that were bad takes and were, like, intentionally controversial. Because I was looking at things through like the vacuum of the social media where things need to be sensationalized. I did that, but that's not raping a girl. So like, there's a difference between those two things. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I felt like my shit didn't stink, so I made some bad takes. Oh, well, I took something by force. It's terrible. I don't mean to make like a joke out of it, but it's it's terrible shit.
Fact you're running away from social media and quitting it outright just basically proves your guilt and the fact you also admitted it.
Yeah,
making the biggest mistake that I think I'll ever
blaze it so much that I messed around the arm.
Probably one of the worst things you have ever heard in your entire life. One of the worst possible responses you've ever heard.
True.
And the thing is, as I said earlier, he was a good buddy of Jorobe.
Yeah, and he never even it took him like a month to remove that picture too. He kept the picture up after it happened. I think he might have taken it down actually after he got called out for it.
Jorobe being a person that speaks about these very sensitive issues, you'd think he would be the first person to call out somebody that he used to be friends with on this situation, but no.
No, you know what he did instead? What he did was he said he wasn't going to talk about it because of the other person that was affected by Calvin Brandy was his friend and didn't want to bring up her name. But then when he got called out for criticizing me for going after Gemini Official, who was like a bad person. You could look at all the videos I have on them for similar actions, we'll say. He said that he doesn't want to talk about his experiences because he was taken advantage of as a child, and that he stands with the girl and not having to express his trauma. And now listen, I'm sure he has trauma, but it's very convenient that you tell us your trauma right when you criticize someone for going after another predator that you didn't think that went private, but it got leaked.
No. The only time he spoke about it was when he was pressured by other content creators who were calling him out for saying absolutely nothing.
I was planning on taking a break from posting on TikTok, but I wanted to talk about my friend Aaron. Both Aaron and I felt forced to share our stories of surviving sexual assault with the millions of people on this app. And so we did. And while many people showed their support both publicly and privately to us,
they don't care.
There are also people who decided to take advantage of the situation for their own gain.
That's not what people were doing. This is fucking bullshit. Oh, people are trying to take advantage of this. I was a lot more tan then. I'm sorry, I get like a little cringy when I watch myself, so I'm sorry that I'm getting like, what the situation? The situation of you not talking about it when your whole platform is talking about it.
Now, naturally so, I completely agree with what this lovely bloke is saying right now, because Jorobe, after being criticised by a bunch of content creators, rightly so, came back to the internet and started blaming everybody else for running away from this situation and saying that he didn't want to speak about it.
So I worked outside,
because of his previous trauma, because of previous things that had happened to him.
And the fact that I said that I still have effects from what happened to me from when I was 8.
And now I would believe that.
Wait, can we just like focus on something? So for those of you who don't know how TikTok works, you can make a video and then you can put an audio in the background, but you can mute the audio so that it'll ride the algorithm. The audio he chose here was "Save Me" by Nicki Minaj. Like, what a fucking scumbag. Like, laying on the victim con. "Save Me" by Nicki Minaj. Like, come on.
The fact that I said that I still have effects.
Look at it right here. "Save Me," Nicki Minaj. And he tagged the girl who he originally said he wasn't going to call Calvin Brandy out. Like, this is the girl that Calvin Brandy attacked. He tagged her after saying he doesn't want to talk about it so she doesn't get any of the publicity. Do you see how much of a scum fuck he is?
From what happened to me from when I was 8.
And now I would believe that if he hadn't built his entire platform on speaking about these things, and then mysteriously the one time he doesn't want to speak about these things...
Bro, he would wear this shirt in the summer. Isn't that crazy?
...are when
worst offense?
his
I think
friends
so.
are involved, when his friend is the accused person. That's a little bit suspicious, and a lot of content creators started to speak about this.
Trauma is not your punchline. Some people even
I wish I punched Jorobe.
avoided condemning child grooming and sexual.
If you already seen this video, you already know what time it is. Buckle up. Let's talk about it. For those of you that do not know, when I was a teenager, I was sexually assaulted.
Did iNabber make a video about Jorobe already? I don't know. I'll look into
Hello
that.
there, my wonderful, gorgeous bunch of dumplings.
Not once, but twice. But what I can't seem to understand is how in one breath you can say you will not say his name because it's triggering to your friend Aaron, but by the very same token, you keep up a picture on your Instagram of said guy who assaulted her. But herein lies a bigger issue. An issue with the fact that you have no problem calling out problematic men. But it seems like the problematic man is your friend and you're a little quiet. I want the women that follow me and that consume my content to understand this.
I think.
If I had someone that close to me,
no, he didn't.
and I still have a picture up with them, after knowing that they committed rape
toward
another person, I'd call them out immediately.
True.
Not be quiet. You don't have to talk about your trauma.
I think I added this. I think I added that video in my video.
One of the main reasons I had such a problem with Jorobe's content, because he liked to be this person that stood up for everybody, stood up for women, but at the same time wasn't willing to do that when it involved his friends. That truly shows to me that his actions before all of his own accusations truly were false, and he was simply doing it for views, likes, and money. But also something I find weird is that in his response, he then atted the victim. And I think that's...
with the Nicki Minaj sound.
I don't know. Am I just being nitpicky right now? But is that a really weird thing to do?
No, it is, especially with the additional context that originally he said he couldn't speak out against Calvin Brandy because he didn't want to out the girl because they were all friends. So it's additionally bad that the second he got caught, though, he wanted to bring that person in there and like weaponize her trauma to shield him from getting criticized for not talking about another issue. that one came. That wasn't from Calvin Brandy. That one came at I think that came after the Gemini thing. I think maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe it happened after he got a lot of public criticism. But I think that I don't really remember. Maybe I'm wrong about that part.
Through such amount of trauma and such amount of disgusting actions against them, you then at them because you are now finally speaking about a thing that you have hidden from for a good amount of. That's just really weird. And now I am going to be playing a lot of clips from this Papa Gut guy's YouTube channel. He has made a lot of videos about this situation. And to be honest with you, because Jorobe has deleted most of his platforms, it is very difficult to find.
Look at all the videos I've made. Those videos are in the course of a week. That's how much shit I put. I'm a shit poster. I'm sorry, guys.
Archive TikToks, and Papa Gut basically has them all uploaded onto his channel.
I want to say I do have wait, maybe I don't. Here, I might have a playlist for it. If I don't, I'm gonna make one right now.
Some people even tried to claim that we avoided condemning child grooming and sexual assault, and despite the many videos I've already made about both those subjects.
Wait, so let me get this straight. You can't speak about sexual assault allegations because of your trauma from which you were.
Yeah, I'm gonna make one
and
now.
The fact that I said that I still have effects from what happened to me from when I was 8.
But at the same time, you've built
now there is one
platform about speaking about sexual assault allegations. So I'm a little bit confused, Jorobe.
Now there's a whole Jorobe. There's a whole Jorobe folder now, guys. Don't worry.
Made so many videos educating my followers about why consent is so important.
What is it? You not want to talk about it, or do you want to talk about it when it benefits you and gets you numbers? Because I'd really like to know, because it is a little bit confusing and a little bit contradictory, and you do look like a little bit of a hypocrite right now. And this is
definitely a little
bit. The issues started with Jorobe. It really started to go downhill from here. Although I would argue it started to go downhill when he made a social media account.
True, but that's actually true though. He stopped. He really disappeared for a while after this. He really disappeared for like a while after this. He came back in small bursts for a couple videos, and then he stopped. And it's interesting because a lot of the people that he really did try to groom and trauma dump onto and whatnot, I feel like they might have only felt comfortable coming forward now that Jorobe was less popular and had less social demand. So it's a good thing that we basically got him to get so upset that he left for a while, to remove the spell from the young people that were like underneath his spell.
This is your trigger warning. This video will contain discussions about consent and sexual assault.
So I get it.
That was on like a vegan video. Trigger warning. Animals getting forcefully impregnated. That's a big deal. But when it comes to my friends, I'm gonna look the other way.
You only want to talk about it when it gets you numbers and gets you money. I totally understand that. My good buddy. No, I don't want to say my good buddy. Even joking.
I don't even think that the platform was monetized at that point. It was definitely still for social like currency. But I just wanted to bring that up.
You are such a dick.
Maybe it was.
I don't usually say that. But even without going to his own actions, which we will get into here, I wonder, how did people not see this and think, yeah, this guy is a wolf in sheep's clothing? Like, this is somebody who clearly doesn't care about what they speak about, and they'll only speak about things if it gets them numbers. But yes, this is the first part in the story of Jorobe's downfall. It started off with him hiding away from his friend's sexual assault allegations until he was pressured into speaking about it, and then eventually he received multiple allegations against himself in July of last year. Now, the clip I'm going to play is very long, and again, it is.
Is it going to be me?
Very sensitive.
I don't know if I can watch me this much.
Watch it, just skip ahead, or even just click off the video.
I cringe a little bit.
Yeah, I just wanted to provide full context.
This video will be about one of the biggest hypocrites I have ever met in my life, Jorobe. Here's a picture of him if you don't know him by his name. John is a disgusting and terrible hypocrite who abuses his platform by using his clout to groom and prey upon underage boys. He has done this to multiple people, including me. John first followed me whenever I had about 30,000 followers and joined my live stream and asked for my Snapchat, so I gave it to him. After Snapchatting for a few weeks, I invited him to a Zoom call with me and my other TikTok friends, which we did daily. After about a week of John joining the Zooms, he asked me if I wanted to get an Airbnb with him on my 18th birthday, which was over 3 months away. At the time, I thought it was a good idea, and initially, it was supposed to be with other people. This is him asking me who we should invite. After a few more days, I realized those were not his true intentions. He started to send me links to one-bedroom Airbnb.
James Charles 2.0, to be honest with you, I think he's worse than James Charles.
And he offered to purchase me alcohol if I went. And this is him talking about the one-bedroom. And I was like, could we find one for like 2? That would be better. As you can see, he immediately changed the subject. A little over a week goes by, and then I decide to invite one of my IRL friends to the Zoom. And this is what John sent me. He knew that I did not want to get the Airbnb, so he thought if he invited one of my IRL friends, I would want to go. That's him asking when he was going to turn 18.
Now I just want to intervene here. I see this thing on the internet where a lot of people are like, oh bro, but it's legal, man. They were 18, they're still illegal. For one.
Well, they were 17 at the time, though.
Buying somebody alcohol when you're 27 and they're 18 in the United States of America is actually a crime.
Well, yeah, it's not just that, though, right? So, like, listen, I was a young kid. I drank when I shouldn't have at family parties. My mom's thing was like, hey, if you're going to be an irresponsible little dick, we'll do it in a space where we can watch it. You can criticize me all you want. Not the worst idea. That's why I don't like alcohol, because I got it out of my system. Whether you agree with that take or not, though, it's different from waiting for a 17-year-old to turn 18 and then trying to buy them alcohol. Because what do you think the reason is that they're buying them alcohol? Well, probably to lower their inhibitions to get them to sleep with him. That's probably why. And I think it's very predatory for anybody to buy anybody alcohol for specifically to get them to be more likely to engage with you. Obviously, if everybody goes to a club and a bar and gets drunk and whatever, that's a little bit different because you're going there to get drunk and lower your own inhibitions. That's a bit different. But if you're going to go and buy somebody alcohol so that they'll engage with you, well, I find that to be disgusting.
But also, even if it wasn't illegal, it's still extremely
It's morally
immoral.
shitty.
Do I need to remind everybody again? Do I need to put the reminder out there once again that the human brain doesn't develop fully until you're 20. I'm 24, and my little pea brain hasn't even developed fully yet. So these guys were 18, and he was 27, 26 at the time. He's now 28, and I think some of them have only just turned 18, 19. That is creepy. That, in my opinion, is predatory. Guys, a little word of advice. You can be extremely immoral even if it follows the law.
But
that's a thing that can happen.
But I think that not only is that a thing that can happen, but that's what makes it additionally worse, is that the meticulousness, the way in which Jorobe operated to stay within the law, that's why it's honestly potentially worse, because he knows what he needs to do. It means he knows what he's doing. He's being calculated. It's not like a heat of the moment thing, which would still be disgusting. But you get my point.
Need I remind you that in a lot of countries around the world, you can go to jail or even face further consequences for being gay. Does that mean that the law is automatically correct?
Yes. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. I'm sorry.
I think as a human being, we can determine when something is incredibly
That was a joke.
moral.
Just going to
You'd
clarify
ask me
that.
about the Airbnb for months until he just finally stopped. During one of the Zooms with all of my TikTok friends, John thought it would be a good idea to have us all take a BDSM score test and send him our results so he could see our kinks. Keep in mind, the youngest was 15 years old and the oldest were 19, and there were only 2 19-year-olds, and everybody else was 17 and below.
It's still weird even when the 19-year-olds, because he's 27. I know a lot of people might look at that point that I make and go like, oh, Papa God, it's legal. I don't think it's weird. You have to understand, like, I think he was 28. I think he was 27. I'm 31 years old. It would be really weird if I went into like a Zoom call full of 20-year-olds and said, let's take a BDSM test. Even if it's legal, it's still weird. It's like, for fucking what reason, you know?
12 of us. A few months later, in the Zooms, my friends would go into separate FaceTime calls, and it felt like me and John were always left out, and he tried to convince me that they were talking about me and that they weren't my real friends and that he was my only real friend. It worked, and I believe
that's the thing. He was trying to drive a wedge. That's very important. That's part of it. That's like the grooming aspect there of trying to cut off other influence, like other people of influence, other people in your life, your friends or your family or whatever, and try to get them to be attached to you in some capacity, physically, emotionally, etc. Right? That's a very important part. That's one of the reasons why it's so disgusting.
Him. A few days later, I got a FaceTime call from all of my friends, and I answered. And in those FaceTime calls, during the Zooms, they were talking about how John was grooming me. And whenever they confronted me with this, I was very defensive.
It's very interesting because a lot of young people throw around the word grooming unintelligently. Like, not that they're well, kids are a little less intelligent, but my point is that people throw that word around a lot, like the word grifter we were talking about before. They throw around a very morally loaded word that doesn't mean what it actually means. Like trying to, like you'll see it all the time, like, oh, I was being groomed, but it's like, okay, well, no, you weren't. You were being you definitely may have been predatorized, but you weren't being groomed. Like, so people will be like, oh, this 15-year-old and this ED, or not EP, actually was somebody trying to engage in grooming. They'll be like, oh, I was 15 and like a 25-year-old tried to groom me. It's like, well, grooming isn't just trying to sleep with you. It's like a psychological process of trying to create a dependency of you onto them and prep you for sex. It's a bit different, and it's one of those things where, you know, people throw it around a lot, but they were right about their labeling of the word.
A few hours later, I called back and talked to them, and I finally realized that John was grooming me. I decided to cut John off and not confront him about anything. I didn't say anything for the past 8 months because I thought I was the only one until recently I found out that there are multiple people that John has groomed. John does not deserve to have any type of platform because if he does, he will continue this behavior and will not stop preying on teenagers. True. He's a disgusting and terrible person.
Teenagers is the key word here. What business does a 27-year-old man, or 26, or now even 28, have with hanging out in calls with alleged 15 to 18-year-olds? Now, I understand. Age differences are a thing in friendships. When I was in university and I was 18, I did hang out with some 22-year-olds, and I think because we were in the same space, very normal thing to do. But 27? Bro, people who I know are 27 have a mortgage and kids and are married.
Well, see, that's the thing, is it depends on the context. Like, so if you have a 27-year-old that's still in school and you're, like, friends with a 20-year-old, it's not super weird, necessarily, like, if you're be friends to study for class or something. But you add the additional intent of, like, him trying to... Like, they were in the same social sphere of TikTok, but there's just, like, no maturity in that sphere. It's such a weird thing. It's just very bizarre. Especially when you get into like underage people and what you're doing. Like, again, I'm a 30-year-old man. Like, I have TikTok friends that are like in their like early 20s. I'm friends with them, like Curly Daddy, but I also don't do weird shit because I'm 31 years old. So I'm friends with them, but I also understand that they're a little younger, and so I shouldn't be acting like another 20-year-old. I think that's more, because I think Jorobe said he felt 15 years old at one point, which was disgusting.
At that point, 27 hanging out with alleged 15-year-olds? No, there's no defense.
Yeah, like Keemstar, when he was hanging out with, what's his face, Aiden Ross, he was there trying to act like another 20-year-old. He wasn't there, like, as a 30-year-old observer. Like, if I was there, I would have sat there quietly, probably just not talked. Because, like, what am I going to do? I'm not going to contribute to a conversation about fucking my sister, which is what the other guy was doing. I would have sat there quietly. I might have even been like, oh, this is a little uncomfortable to, like, have this conversation. But Keemstar was getting up and going, ha ha ha, who's this crypto shit? Irresponsible.
It's disgusting. But even then, the TikToker Dylan states in the video that he wasn't even 18 at the time, and neither was his friends, and Jorobe was apparently willing to supply them with alcohol. I don't care what anybody says, there are clear intentions here, but not only that, there is also a massive power dynamic. Not even because of numbers, but also power dynamics don't necessarily mean that you have to be a YouTuber to have a power dynamic. You can simply be richer than somebody. You can simply be in a better place than somebody in terms of a household, you know? Somebody can just be better off than you, and there is still a power dynamic here. So Jorobe was 27.
I just want to add for context, the existence of a power dynamic doesn't create abuse of that power dynamic, but it definitely it creates an opening for it where there needs to be a level of criticalness, right? So if you're a big content creator, which is what I'd focus more on there, because like, yeah, their age is a power dynamic as well, but he's the largeness of his platform was the main power dynamic. And the reason I say that, because all of the people, when I spoke to them privately, because they reached out to me before everything went live, they were talking about how they felt like they couldn't say anything earlier because then people wouldn't believe them, or because he would use his followers to hurt them, etc., right? So as a content creator, a popular content creator, when you engage with anybody, even if it's okay to date somebody that's not famous if you're famous, but you need to make sure, just fundamentally, that you allow people to understand that you have a level of power over them, and that you'll never use it, right? So if let's say I was still dating, I wasn't in love with the woman, like the love of my life, right? Mama gut. Let's say I was doing that and I was gonna go date a girl, and let's say she was a fan, right? So I'm 31, let's just say she's like 28. I would make sure to make sure that they know that, like, nothing, like, if it doesn't work out, whatever, like, nothing, I'm not going to do anything with my platform. I'm not going to help them with my platform, because that's abusive of power dynamic, or hurt them. And when I say help them, I won't be like, oh, if you fuck me, I'll give you this and that. You know what I'm saying? And I'll be like, yeah, like, don't worry, if nothing works out, it's fine. You don't have to talk to me sexually if you don't want. Like, you don't have to go beyond any comfortability that you have just because I'm a big content creator, because those situations can happen. Like, that's what you do. You make it clear that people are, make sure that people are as comfortable as possible saying no to you, despite the fact that you might have power over them. That's how you utilize a power dynamic appropriately. Oh, not utilize it, but that's how you exist within that power dynamic.
They were in their teenage years, power dynamic inadvertently there, but also he was 27. He has so much more adult experience, probably has more money than them because of that.
I don't think he had any more money than them. I think he was just famous, because I don't think that the creator fund was open at that point before he left. He was like a fucking piano teacher, and he worked for a church. And he also volunteered his time at that church to help deal with kids. I'm sure you'll get into that. We're not even at that far yet.
To add on, he has 4.5 million followers. In my opinion, when you're at that stage of your life and also such a prominent figure in the social media sphere, you know that these people are fans of you. I don't care what anybody says. He knew that these people were fans. He knew that these people looked up to him, and he clearly took advantage of them.
I would say that the fans part isn't as big of it. It's absolutely a factor, but the fact that they were underage young fans, that's a bigger issue than anything else. That's like the biggest issue. And, you know, it's still weird that a 27-year-old would even like try to date an 18-year-old, to be honest with you. I think it's gross, but, you know.
And I think before we go into any of the other allegations, we now need to speak again about the fact that his TikTok account has been completely deleted. He did not respond to the allegation, he did not say anything, there was no retaliation, it was simply, bye. Delete the account, I'm no longer on this platform. If that isn't the biggest admission of guilt, I genuinely don't know what is. Like,
you know, it's also interesting. So, a personal friend of Jorobe's reached out to me, and they're like, "Well, what's going on?" They asked me a few questions. At least they claimed to be a personal friend, but they said that they talked to Jorobe, and what he told them was that there's no reason for him to defend himself, even though it's not true, because people just won't believe him. That's what he said. So, like, he was just playing with, like, social media is toxic, and I'm canceled anyway, so why should I bother defending myself? I'm just going to delete my account. Okay.
How much can you admit to something so plainly without saying anything? Because he had 4+ million followers. I think if he wasn't guilty, he would probably fight against these allegations. But you know, there are so many people coming out against him. Not just these allegations, but in terms of him lying about people, in terms of him doing shady things in previous jobs he had.
I don't know if he'll bring up the Gemini situation, but I hope he does. But it seems like he may not.
I'm sorry.
Because that was a factor. That's one of the things we called Jorobe out for. Because when Gemini was getting deplatformed for like a ton of horrible things, Jorobe didn't speak on it, and that's when he privately slandered me. And that's when I lost my shit. Because I thought he was just not talking about it. I give him the benefit of the doubt. I was like, oh, he's not talking about it because I'm talking about it. But then after he like slandered me, like, what the fuck is the problem with this guy? What a scum fuck. That was my reaction. Obviously very intense, but you know, I think it was warranted.
But I cannot see no smoke without fire.
Hi, I'm Melina. A lot of you guys won't know me, obviously, but
I think this is the girl where Jorobe would like trauma dump on her because I would criticize Jorobe and he would get sad and talk to a 15-year-old girl about it, which I think is morally irresponsible. Because it's like you're gonna at 27 or 26, I don't remember exactly the age he was at the time. You're going to talk to a 15-year-old girl about your problems like that. Like that seems really gross.
I wanted to come on here, especially as Papa Garrett and I Speak are going to be posting their videos, and talk a little bit about my story with Mr. J. I don't really feel comfortable saying his name.
Mr. J.
Given his
Sorry.
platform and everything. And I wanted to talk, like I said, about my experiences and my stories. So I met this creator almost a year ago through a group chat of kids from the age of 13 to around 18, maybe one or two kids were 19. And there was a very large power dynamic even then, where he obviously was not only the largest platform in the group chat, but the oldest by almost 10, 11 years, because he was 26 at the time and I was 16.
Yeah.
Jay and I started Snapchatting because I was like, oh, he's cool. And we started talking.
She started Snapchatting him.
That's...
She was 16 and he was 26.
It's bizarre because I think he said he was bisexual. I'm pretty sure Joe was just gay. What I find really weird though is like, why are you getting kids fucking Snapchats in general? Why are you getting that close to them? Even if you had no sexual intent, why are you getting that close to a fucking 16-year-old at 26 or 27? Like, what the fuck is the matter with you? Snapchat is a very personal platform that you know people use so that their messages disappear. So, the only real reason to do that, in my opinion, is if you intend to send messages that you don't want to be maintained. That's really the only thing that I would assume. That's it. Like, it just adds more to it. It's silly.
No 26-year-old needs to have a 16-year-old on Snapchat. I think that's something we can all commonly agree.
Yeah, sure.
It's not just a red flag, but I feel like... I know it's not. But to me, having a 16-year-old on Snapchat when you're 26 just seems like a crime. In terms of a social thing, it is a social crime.
Okay, I agree with that.
It seems to be this
it's a morally
weird
reprehensible
trend with Jorobe having close personal friendships with teenagers.
Yeah, it's weird. He said he felt like a 15-year-old.
So when there was the Papa
trans age
and other situations with Jay where he was called out, and Jay and I had been on a call when that whole thing was very large, and he was essentially trauma dumping onto me to try to kind of keep me in what I think was his grasp. And alongside that, he would then make comments and Zooms with a lot of the other kids who had experienced this, making sexual innuendos about certain people or just himself, and trying to get us to call him hot. And
forgot about that. It's in my video.
Scary, uncomfortable.
But there was like a situation that they explained to me one time where Jorobe was in there and somebody called him old and he got offended. So he said that like I forget, like, oh, I'm going to leave or I'll never talk to anybody again, or not letting anybody move on from the conversation until they said that he's not old and that he's actually attractive, which is fucking insane.
Comfortable things that should not happen.
It's also pathetic. Like, not only is it like kind of predatory, but it's also pathetic. Like, you're a fucking loser if you get that. Oh, I'm old. Like, grow up. Literally, like, grow up into your own mental fucking age space.
Yeah. Alongside that, he'd also make promises about getting Airbnbs and meeting up with us, and alongside that, he promised alcohol and hot tubs. So, and at the end of the FaceTime or the Zoom group that we were a part of, he started telling me that like he was hated by the group and that he had such a big platform that like something was happening with that and people were either jealous or stuff like that. And he made me believe that like the whole group was horrible people who hated him and I and it was really just not good.
Yeah, so I don't know if he was attracted to her. I think that she told me that she didn't think that there was any sexual energy between them. I don't know if that was the right way of phrasing that, but she didn't think that he was trying to come on to her. But he still seemed to go out of his way. I think that's what she said. I could be wrong. But if I'm remembering correctly, I'm pretty sure she said that. But she did make a point to say, like, it still seemed like he wanted to create these one-on-one relationships with people and remove any other layer of support. So it's like, oh, I want to be your friend, but I want to disconnect you from the entire friend group so that I'm your only friend, and you'll believe me and trust me on everything that I say. Yeah, he said he was bi, though. I think he said he was bi. I'm pretty sure he's gay, though. But he said he was bi. Because it's yeah.
My experiences. You'll probably hear other people's experiences.
He might have said he was gay once.
And I really encourage you guys, if you haven't watched Dylan's video.
Firstly, I am sending nothing but my best wishes to Dill and Melina. I think it must be an absolutely devastating thing to realize that somebody
said he's by himself now. Very funny.
used to look up to was ultimately at the time preying on you. I think that must be truly a traumatic thing, and I'm sending nothing but my best wishes, and I hope they're well. And I think this is something we also need to quickly speak about, where people say, oh, they were clearly fine with it at the time. This is the exact same argument which was used in the James Charles debacle, where people were like, well, they spoke to them at the time, they seemed fine with it then. Yeah. Because it was a content creator with millions of followers.
Well, so I would say, like, okay, obviously you can't just tell somebody who's young, oh, they were fine with it. There is a bit of a difference between somebody, I'm not even going to say consensually engaging. There's an additional factor, though, of the manipulation. As shitty as James Charles is, I don't think he was trying to manipulate these kids. I think James Charles is an irresponsible little prick that shouldn't have a platform, that was trying to talk to younger people, partially because he decided not to ask for age, partially because he just didn't care. But Jorobe has an added layer of trying to cut these people off from their other systems of support. That makes it more like methodical, intense, and like actually makes it real grooming rather than just talking to underage people, which is still bad. I'm not saying Justin's but it's different from talking to somebody underage versus like trying to create an emotional and physical dependence onto you.
Looked up to, and they were also extremely young and probably at the time didn't realize that they were being manipulated and preyed upon because they were young, and an adult probably should, or definitely should, know better, and Jorobe clearly realized that he could take advantage of these people. And it's not like one or two people have come out of their experience in this situation. The content creator I mentioned earlier, Papa Gut, actually spoke to a lot of content creators, multiple content creators who claimed to have their own personal experiences with Jorobe, and he put it into one of his videos in a Google document. Now, he didn't include the names because obviously a lot of these people didn't want to be public with this, probably because they would get attacked for simply telling their story. But yes.
Yeah, I made sure I told them all. I said, listen, if you guys don't want to come out at all, you don't have to. Like, I'll leverage the credibility of my platform for this situation. Because I genuinely feel like one of the problems with TikTok is a lot of young people, especially, trauma dumping onto TikTok. And I feel like it creates the potential for more trauma in their future. I think sometimes they'll be like, oh, this is a space where I feel like I can express my trauma, maybe even get a little clout off of it. And I'm going to express it, but then 5 years down the line, like, you're embarrassed what you did, and it ends up compiling onto your trauma. So I told them all that. Obviously, some of them came forward, and that's very respectable. But I wanted to make sure that they understood that, because it's a very real thing.
Here is the clip.
27-year-old man in a Zoom call with 15 to 19-year-olds, asking them to take BDSM tests. Now, I am a 31-year-old man, and I'm going to tell you that I have nothing in common with 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 18, 19, 20, even upwards of like 25. I have very little in common. So I find it questionable that you would even associate yourself with 15-year-olds. Now, I understand the nature of Discord, and like a lot of times the mods for Discords are younger people, and I have those mods as well. But I'm going to tell you one thing. I've never pulled them into a Zoom call and asked them to take a fetish test.
True.
ever.
And yes, I think everybody watching this video right now should completely and utterly agree with what Papa Gut just said. Nobody at the age of 26 should be asking these people to do a fucking BDSM test. Nobody. And I understand it's fine to follow a younger content creator. It's fine to follow somebody who is younger than you on the internet, because ultimately there is this social media sphere of content creation where...
Well, that's like a problem too, I think. It's like there is this social media sphere where it brings people of different ages together, and it opens up areas to be like very irresponsible in that coming together. I don't think it's fundamentally wrong to be, I'll call it, work friends with somebody younger than you. If the two of you are maybe collaborating in like a YouTube video or a TikTok, that makes sense. But personalized friends with a 16, 17-year-old as a 27-year-old is fucking bizarre. Like, what are you going to talk about? Nothing at all, you know?
Some creators will be younger than you. That's completely fine. Just don't ask them to do a BDSM. It's so...
Should have asked me, Jorobe.
So crazy to me.
I don't know what I'm saying.
That somebody with such significant prominence in the TikTok...
He fucking hated me. He fucking hated me because I didn't let him get away with anything.
Sphere genuinely thought he could get away with this. Some of the things in this Google document are genuinely vile. The BDSM test, the sexual comments that I don't even want to speak about, trying to apparently get them to start OnlyFans when they turn 18, and just so much inappropriate behavior in groups where allegedly the ages go down to around 13 years old. And this is a document of multiple content creators with their own experiences, and I'm just blown away about how there are this many allegations against this person, and he didn't even try to defend himself once.
Somebody says, remember when he was live and I donated to him? Yeah, so there was a time where there was a charity stream for sexual assault survivors, and during his segment on there, I was on there, I think earlier or before or after, I don't remember, but after, when he was on, I decided to donate like a $500, I think, or $1,000 to the charity, and he got really, really mad. Like, and like I was busting his balls, obviously, but like it was, you know, you'd think that you'd be like, okay, like I get it, you're being a little silly, like okay, but I donated money. I figured he would be like, okay, like you're annoying, but like that's nice, and like. And that was a time before all the bullshit, and I figured maybe we could rekindle a friendship. Or not even rekindle, and maybe we could, like, you know, whatever. Because back in the day, I thought Jorobe was just, like, a very sensitive person. And I gave him the benefit of the doubt, not knowing that he's actually a scum fucking asshole. But he got pissed when I donated that money. And it was kind of funny. So fuck you, Jorobe. Getting mad somebody donated money to Sexual Assault Foundation. What a guy.
He just left. He just left and ran. And if anybody can't see guilt there... You're lying to yourself, in my opinion.
Me too.
Originally, I wasn't going to make this video about Jorobe, but a lot of stuff has come up in the past couple days that I feel like I almost have to. It's gotten to the point where so many people are DMing us and telling us stories about their experiences with Jorobe too, so I feel like I want to help back those up and be able to have this guy finally gone. And if you don't know the situation with Jorobe, pretty much what happened is that he... a bunch of minors. And a lot of the people that are DMing us are saying that they thought they were the only ones, and so did the rest of us. I can't go into specific details about what happened between me and Jorobe because it is quite not safe for work, and TikTok will immediately take it down.
True.
But I'll try and give...
That's something, not to interrupt, but that's like a problem. Is that a lot of time, this happened a lot during Gemini, is we would talk about like the disgusting things people would do, and a lot of them would get taken down, and it felt like they were defending predators. It was really fucked up.
Much information as I can without this getting taken down. So Jorobe followed me.
But TikTok wouldn't do anything about it. Like they would pull the video down, and then they wouldn't. It's not like they were like, "Oh, we don't want this on there, so let's like pull their account down or something." They wouldn't do that. They would just pull your video down and basically suppress it.
Followers, and he had around, I think, 300 to 400K. I would go check to get the exact time and numbers that he did have, but unfortunately he's deactivated all 3 of his accounts on social media, so I can't see the DMs. We didn't talk too much, you know, we DM'd and commented on each other's stuff, sometimes duetted each other, and I thought we were friends. Then 2 days before my birthday, he DMs me and asked me for my Snapchat. And around that time was the time where he started to actually get pretty big on TikTok. So of course I added him because I looked up to the guy and he was posting the same stuff as me, and you know, he was doing really well on TikTok. And then my birthday came around and he wished me a happy birthday. And then a little bit after that is when he came out to me personally before he actually came out on TikTok. And so I saw that as a sign of trust, and so I really trusted the guy. And then he abused and misused that trust and tried to get me to do things.
Wait, so he came out to him as gay. That's interesting. Because this person was 18 at the time. Jorobe was like, what? Probably, let's say 25 or 26. I don't know exactly how long ago this was. The reason that's weird is because that's obviously like a very big admission. And if he didn't admit it publicly, that's like even bigger, right? So you would say that to somebody that's like a friend that you feel comfortable with and you can confide in. It's bizarre that somebody that much younger than you is somebody you feel like you can confide in. Yeah, so there could obviously be like a manipulation factor there, you know, but that's a big thing to admit to somebody. And it's just, I don't know, it just feels like like an emotional leveraging, like almost like guilting somebody. It's like, oh, feel bad for me and maybe engage with me because I haven't come out to anyone else. And I don't know if this young man's gay, but...
And was sending me things that I didn't want. I felt like I couldn't say no because, I don't know, I felt like I trusted him, and then I felt bad for him because of all the shit he was getting on TikTok and all the hate that he was getting. And so I feel like he's just
I wonder at what time this was.
Misusing his platform and this trust that he's getting with his fans, and he's using it for these nefarious purposes. And as I said before, he has deactivated all 3 of his social media accounts, and he's pretty much gone MIA. So please, if anybody you know that is in contact with Jorobe, please stop talking to him, and please make sure that people you know are safe.
So yes, this is another allegation. I believe the person's name is Damu, and I apologize if I mispronounced that. But again, it is another case of power dynamics being completely and utterly abused by Jorobe. Based on everything I've read so far and seen, I can come to this conclusion that Jorobe seemingly just trauma dumps and tells younger people who are clearly fans of him extremely personal things to build a connection and convince these people that he's their friend, he's their disclosed personal content creator who they really look up to, and oh, he's got feelings like me. That's what he wants people to believe, in my opinion. That's what a lot of
I think he utilizes
do.
it
They tell
for
them
attention.
their trauma. They over express everything in their mind to younger people because a younger person probably doesn't know much better because they're young, obviously, and they haven't experienced these things yet. So yes, he will build these connections and convince them that they are friends, and eventually
honestly, part of it could really be because he does identify with a younger person if he was like touched. Right, like that's a whole other conversation if he has his own trauma, of like, you know, there is a correlation between people who are attracted to young people and people who were predatorized when they were young. Thing is it doesn't mean that you are justified in continuing the cycle of basically harming people to, unfortunately, potentially have them have the same thing happen to them. It doesn't excuse the disgusting behavior because it's like you do know better. You do know better. And I would argue somebody that's as connected to God as he was, because he would go to church, you should, I mean, honestly, know even better. I mean, you should have, that's like one of the benefits, potentially the supposed benefits of being religious is to be able to overcome whatever bullshit obstacle. I don't know. I just feel like it's a factor as well.
He will seemingly take advantage of that. This is predatory. This is an extremely manipulative thing, and it's what dangerous people on the internet do. It's one of the oldest tactics in the book. Convince them that you're friends and then do what Jorobe did. It's genuinely disgusting, and it hurts to speak about because I understand that these are just people that wanted to be friends with a creator who they thought was just a top dude who made content that they liked. I never liked the content, but I understand that a lot of people did. But Jorobe has seemingly betrayed his entire audience and all of the people that he used to claim was his friends. First, it was one of his friends, and then it was him. And it doesn't even end here. There are just countless and countless and countless amounts of allegations when another TikToker came out and stated that Jorobe tried to buy them alcohol.
Hello, TikTok. I'm going to be talking about my story of this man right here. And if it gets taken down, for harassment or bullying, I will be livid. It all starts about 7 months ago when he follows me back. I almost instantly messaged him saying, "Hey dude, I'm a big fan. I can't believe you followed me back. Do you think you'd want to play Minecraft sometime?" Because I asked most of my new mutuals if they wanted to play Minecraft because I was addicted to the game at the time. He hit me back nearly instantly with a, "Oh, sure, of course. Here's my Snapchat and here's my Xbox tag." As to which I added both of them because I wanted new people to play Minecraft with, and I looked up to him. And here's where things started. That night, me and John played for around 6 hours total on one Minecraft world and got pretty damn far in it. And we both were having a lot of fun. We both stayed up late talking, and we did this for the next week. We stayed up like till 2 to 4 a.m. talking to each other and playing Minecraft, and it was great. I could not have asked for more. And I didn't suspect a thing. I figured we were just friends talking, playing Minecraft together, because that's what friends did. And I'd say around 3 weeks later, he started asking like different questions, like, "What state do you live in? And do your parents let you travel? And do you like to travel? And do I or?" And I gave him full honesty. And as to which I do, or I did. And I didn't talk much about it, but I trusted him enough to tell him. So I told him everything. And then he answered, "Great, thanks for telling me." And then stopped talking to me for about 4 days, which was irregular because we talked like every day. And then one day he messaged me and went, "Hey, can I FaceTime you?" As to which we FaceTimed. And we and him talked about those TikTok conventions that used to happen once a year where you'd go to and like talk to people and the big content creators you like to follow. And he asked if I wanted to go to one with him. I agreed because that was great. I would have loved to. And he offered to buy me a room with him or like an apartment or whatever it was at the time. And I was getting ready to go. Things were great. It was wonderful. He offered to buy me alcohol, like before. We never went. I'm going to specify. We never went. But he offered to buy me drinks there. And this is the one quote I remember him talking to me about. "I may be a pastor, or I may work for God, but I'm not against kids having fun." I should have realized it right there.
This is one of the most mind-boggling things because all of these stories do seem very similar, and that's probably the case here because he probably used the same tactics on all of these young people that he was speaking to. "Hey, we should get an Airbnb. Hey, we should hang out more. Hey, I'll get you alcohol because I know you can't buy alcohol because you're underage and you can't legally get that." That's something which he semed to do.
You know, it's interesting with the alcohol point because I was talking before, like obviously, getting alcohol for somebody with the intention of getting them drunk to lower their inhibitions is obviously a problem. But the additional aspect too is like kids think alcohol is so fucking cool. So there's an additional layer there where kids are like, "Oh my god, you're gonna give me that? You're so cool," kind of a thing.
A lot of these content creators and in a lot of their stories they seem to be extremely similar. And the interesting thing about this story that he told, which makes me believe even more how true this story is the fact that he mentioned him being a Christian pastor. Because apparently Jorobe is actually an extremely religious person and is somebody that has actually worked in previous religious groups, and it's really shocking.
Well, he still worked for one. That's the thing. He was still working there. So apparently, allegedly, somebody from their hometown reached out and said he used to work at a different religious group, but they kicked him out because they had very heavy restrictions when it came to working around the kids. So apparently that prompted Jorobe to leave, and he went to a different one to work as like some kind of a financial person. But he would also volunteer his time to work with the kids. It was some kind of like a financial manager for the church or something, I think.
to me, given a DM that was actually sent to Dylan, the person we previously spoke about, and his TikTok, and it said this: "Hi Dylan, I know you're probably getting flooded with these messages right now, and I'm so sorry for what John did to you. What happened wasn't okay, and I admire you for coming forward with your story and calling him out. I wanted to reach out because I'm on staff at the church that he used to work at. He was removed from staff over 2 years ago.
Yeah, this is the message, yeah.
Really upset with
I think Dylan
church
showed me
and
this
strict
later on.
protocols for working with youth, so he left to go to another church." And then they state that they have actually gone to the authorities and are trying to make sure that this never happens again. And understandably, a lot of people would think, well, this might just be a fake account. It might just be somebody who is seeing this.
Well, we called the church, and our understanding is that he has been removed and investigated.
Very serious story, and people coming out with their stories and wanting to capitalize on it. No. I went onto this person's Instagram, and they are clearly in religious groups. They are clearly a part of a church. But even more, I found a webpage from 2019 on a Christian website, part of a church, and this is definitely not fake, from this person 2 years ago.
Shit.
But then what I did after that was I cross-referenced the name of the church, which is St. John Lutheran Church, and I put it into Google, I searched it, and what came up was Joe Robe's LinkedIn, which basically proves this story to be true. Because on this, you can see that Joe Robe worked at this church. It says St. John Lutheran Church. And
present,
then
not
what
so
happened
much.
after that was above it, a year later, he then was working at another church. I mean, if this shit doesn't add up, I really don't know.
I wonder if he saw on the
If
website.
this doesn't add up in your brain and you think this person is lying, I think you are just lying to yourself, to be honest. And we have to focus on what they said. That he left because he was mad at the strict protocols with working with youth. I mean, what the fuck? One of my researchers, Louisa, also found other personal accounts detailing terrible experiences with Joe Robe, and now I am not sure how accurate these are. There aren't any profiles to these people, but it does just seem that there are a remarkable amount of accusations facing one person. And again, for the 5th time this video, how much smoke can there truly be without fire? This is like the Great Fire of London and there being no source of fire if this wasn't true. I'm sorry, but there is a source here. There is something that has caused this fire, and it's absolutely disgusting. But also, it's not just predatory things that Joe Robe has been doing. Another reference to Papa Gut here, but there was a fan of Papa Gut in Joe Robe's Discord, and someone basically said in a private conversation before these allegations that they no longer like Papa Gut because of some of the things that Joe Robe said about them.
I was a Papa fan too, but after I got off a call with John and heard about how he won't stop sending him graphic sexual content. Now this is complete emphatic bullshit. So this is the first thing. Like, you're literally, this is horseshit. I don't send Joe Robe graphic sexual content. I sent him that one video before of that one. I literally just showed you the DMs. There's 2 DMs to Joe Robe. I think I sent one before that was like, hey, we should talk about something.
Now I think one thing we need to take into context.
It was literally, you know what I'm gonna do on my stream? I'm just gonna show you the video. That's the video I sent to Joe Robe on TikTok.
Weird name just resubscribed for 4 months. Love you, Papa. Keep it contextual.
Thank you so much for this up. That thing that came up my screen, that's my alerts. I made a video. It was a joke way before all this, where it was like an audio, and I was like, "Oh, Joe Robe." That was the sexual video that I sent Joe Robe. That's what Joe Robe is saying. This is the sexual video.
TTV_TSG_sweats just subscribe.
Yeah. Actually, we'll play these alerts for a second, because I think I want to look something up.
Zenawful just subscribe.
Hey, thank you so much for the sub, brother. There we go.
Curtis Lee Baker just subscribed.
I have the in my DMs. Notice you got banned, bro. I know we didn't see eye to eye, but you got fucked. Let me know if there's anything I could do. This was in September 2020. Here's the video I There's the audio. I don't want to play it, but that's the video.
Ham_ham
then
just
I asked him if he wanted to respond to the sweeping allegations that he was a groomer. So that's all that's in there. That's the sexualized shit that I would send Jorobe, apparently. But he didn't respond to any of them. I'm surprised. I figured he would like to tell me why he's a fucking grooming piece of shit, but he never did. Thank you so much for all the subs, guys.
Next here is that this DM is before any of these allegations. This is back when Jorobe was absolutely killing it on TikTok, and I think what happened was his ego was inflating massively, and he saw that there was this one daring content creator who was regularly criticizing him back then, and what he basically said was, hey, this guy criticizing me, this one person...
Well, again, this happened. This is one of those things. So this happened. This criticism came because I was going after like another TikTok predator, and Jorobe didn't speak up, which nobody criticized him for, until it came out. These DMs came out that he was like, "Oh, you're going after pedophiles? Big whoop!" And I got fucking pissed because people were having accounts banned, suspended. It was a hard fight. Myself, Mr. Bruno was very involved. The TikToker, Mr. Bruno. And, like, you know, Mr. Bruno. Leveraging his platform against calling out Gemini. Like, we were getting fucked systematically. And Jorobe's response is, oh, it's so easy to go after pedophiles. Not a big deal. No, okay. Go after yourself, bro.
Person who has dared to get the courage to criticize me is basically a wrong.
I'll take the accolades. It sounds just like me. Very courageous, very handsome.
Again,
I'm not blushing.
Extremely ironic. But again, this seems like another manipulative tactic from Jorobe to get people to stop watching Papa Guts videos.
Isn't it crazy that dancing video of me, that's like that's too sexualized of content? But asking kids to take BDSM tests, that's not.
Simply because Papa Gut was criticizing him, so he thought, ooh, I'm just gonna turn him into a villain then.
Show some compassion and be better.
Be better, dude. Is that why you ignored your friend's sexual assault allegations until you were pressured into talking about them? Is that why you have so many allegations against? Be better, dude, by the way. Be better.
I like what he says, be better. He's trying to have like not like a Jorobe's accent, like an American accent, I guess. It just sounds a little funny.
That's what he builds his content on.
Be better.
Be better.
Do better.
Brand.
This is his brand.
Jorobe, I just have to ask the question of what exactly is being better? What is being better? I would love to know.
Is it
coercing minors into drinking alcohol? Because judging by these allegations and your actions, well, it would awfully seem like that. It would awfully seem like that. Is being better, being in calls with,
is Mr. Bruno worthwhile? He's a great guy. Go ahead, yeah.
Is that what being better is according to the Jorobe textbook? Because I'm a little bit confused. I'm a little bit confused how you got the actual balls for a whole year or two to criticize people on the internet, despite you are probably one of the worst people I've ever covered on my YouTube channel.
True.
To conclude all of this, Jorobe's content was him definitely compensating over the fact that he is a terrible person. I enjoy criticizing people. I enjoy speaking about actual serious things and poking fun and having a joke here and there. But Jorobe's whole shtick was him seeing somebody say something mildly offensive and had to turn it into this big grandstander thing of, ooh,
Bro, can I tell you one thing that really bothered me? So he would never directly say my name because he was fucking mortified of me. Because I was like a larger creator too, and people generally respected me for what I had to say. There was a time where a young person with Down syndrome was like getting bullied, and the people were like, "Oh, you killed George Floyd," and he was getting really upset because he had Down syndrome, and he's like, "No, I didn't." He thought people really believed it, and so I came out and said, like, "Listen, I get that you guys think it's funny because you're like toxic little trolls, but you have to stop because you're mentally distressing this guy, and it's fucked up." And Jorobe's like, "I'm gonna take a different approach. I'm not gonna say that it's funny." It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. I'm speaking to like the audience of 13-year-old little shithead trolls that are like trolling a fucking person with Down syndrome, and you're trying to virtue signal over it as if I'm the worst person in the world for saying, I get you think it's funny, but it's not. You're distressing the fuck out of somebody. And it's like, that's the kind of content that like he would make. Fucking dickheaded content.
so much better and smarter and more intelligent and just a better person than you. But it turned out he was just a terrible human being.
Yeah, that was
and
Bandit.
That's why
yeah,
I always get a little bit creeped out by people like this. I don't get creeped out by people who are critical. I get creeped out by people who grandstand on absolutely everything.
True.
I criticize people, but at the same time, I think I give leeway. I understand that not everyone is perfect. I understand that most people are fairly problematic. It's just a thing, and I think if you're not going to say it, you're lying to yourself. We've all said something stupid or done something stupid in our past, but Jorobe wanted to portray himself like some angel, like there was no smoke without fire, like he was this person who could tell everybody how to live their lives. I think this disgusting document, these stories which are truly horrific, summarize what a sick, twisted individual this person is. He couldn't even get the courage to come onto his TikTok, apologize, and then leave. He just left.
How do you apologize for that, though? It's not, it's one of those things where it wasn't like, oh, I didn't know their age, or, oh, they were 17 and I didn't think it was that bad. Oh, it was like methodical grooming. Like, it's totally different than just some dumb idiot.
And it's
like, I don't even think he could ever. I'm not criticizing this guy. I'm just saying, like, how could you even apologize for that?
Months since people have been telling me to cover this story, but I have been waiting for some form of response. But no, there is absolutely nothing. So to conclude this, Jorobe, you are just one sick individual. I want to end this video by saying I truly wish nothing but the best for the victims involved in this situation. I have no idea how you must be feeling, especially when it is somebody you looked up to clearly, and it's so sad. It really is. Another content creator taking advantage of power imbalances, taking advantage of the fact that they know there are people that look up to them, and it's just disappointing. And I don't even know what else to add at this point. Jorobe, please just never come back to social media.
Just end it with do better. That would be funny.
I think there's nothing you need to say, and I think your silence is
better.
pretty deafening. But that is the end of this video. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like this video, because I understand that there probably is some form of fan base still remaining of him who will come dislike this video. And please, for the love of God, share it. Sharing these videos are extremely important.
I don't know if he has a fan base.
More important than the other videos I make. I mainly make jokey, fun videos, but I think this is one which will be suppressed in the algorithm, so please go and share this. I would really appreciate that. But also, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for sitting through this, and regular content will be back. I don't make videos like this every single week. I like to have a laugh. I like to joke.
I just want to see if he says do better.
Thanks for coming along.
Say do better.
Please like, please sub, and I'll see you. Peace out, everybody.
You missed your chance. That video that video is actually really good. I'm surprised. It was pretty accurate. There was some things missing, like stuff that would be difficult to know. It seemed like he has like invest researchers that might have watched videos, like a few small small things. Like I was saying before, like why Jorobe was like lashing out at me or whatever. But they weren't readily available, like really well known type of things that would be like super imperative to the story whatsoever. It's just like additional information that's nice to know. Somebody in my chat's name is Jorobe Child Groomer now. Thank you so much for coming in here. Like, you fucking idiot. It's not funny. You guys are fucking assholes. But it was very well researched. Like he got like 99.9% of the information. You know what I mean? And I was in it a lot. So that makes it a lot better, obviously, because I'm the best. I'm just kidding. I'm honestly joking. I'm not that conceited. It's nice to be recognized for the work that I did, and it's nice that you recognize other people for the work they did. So yeah, I give it a good video. And to Jorobe, do better. See, that's how you had to end it.